This is a preview to homework 9. I want to make sure that you guys understand what you're doing and why they're getting some of the answers that they're getting. On a lot of these problems, they're asking you for the answer in radians. And the way that you know that is that when they give you your answer format, they'll say things like on the first one, they want your answer in the form of this, a plus bk pi. Because that pi is there instead of 360 degrees, you know that they want their answer in radians. So you may have a different problem than I do, but on my first one, because it generates different ones, my first one says find all solutions of the equation sine x minus 1 equals 0. So when I solve that, I bring the 1 to the other side just like I do with linear equations. And then I can use my calculator and I can do inverse sine of 1 and it will give me an answer. But I can also, I can think about that and think about where the y value is a 1. And if I come out on my quadrant here on my plane, this is a 1, 0, this is 0, 1, minus 1, 0, and 0, minus 1. So everywhere that sine is 1 is just here, and you just need to figure out what that is then in radians when they do that. So in this particular one, when you figure out what that is in radians and decimals, this is 90 degrees. But if I were to convert this, I would get pi over 2, which is what you also have on your unit circle. And when you take pi divided by 2, you get this big long decimal, 1.5707963, and it keeps going. And that's where they're getting their answer. So the second blank in there, and it asks you what A is. So this is A in that format. This part is telling you that every time you go around the circle in that same spot, you get that answer again. So it's saying when you go around that, you're going a full circle, and that's 2 pi. So they're asking you then what the B is, and that's a 2 because it's going around the circle every 2 pi. So that's where that's coming from. The other thing that sometimes people get confused about is this. And this is a problem like, like my number 2. It asks you to solve this problem. So it's already factored for you, so you just need to split it apart. Set it equal to this 0 that's already there. Do your solving just like you did with linear equations back when you first learned algebra. And then, you can use your calculator or you can use your unit circle. But over here, when I divide both sides by 2, I get minus 1/2. And over here, I already have the cosine by itself. So this one's easy. I just look at the quadrant and I see where cosine, which is the x value, is 0. This one, I need to think about this a little bit. And when you go around your circle, you'll notice in that first quadrant that at 30 degrees, sine is 1/2, but it's positive 1/2. And over here at 30 degrees, which happens to be 150 because it's 180, back it up 30, it's also positive 1/2. Because that's your y value and it's going up. Down here is where it's at negative 1/2. So this is where they're getting that answer. This is 180 plus that 30, which is 210 degrees. And then when I convert it, I get 3.66 something with a lot of decimals in radians. And this one is 360, back it up. The 30 gives you 330. And when you convert that one to radians, which is what they're asking your answer, you get 5.759, and it's this big long decimal. That's where they're getting those answers. They're asking for those answers in radians. And that's why they're getting these quadrants instead of these quadrants. It all comes down to the sign on this number. You have to figure out what quadrant you're looking at so that you can figure out what angle you're looking at.